The most obvious thing you'll notice about Battlefield 3 is that it's quite possibly the most realistic looking game I've ever seen. Granted, you can play Grand Theft Auto 4 with the realism mod, but there are no mods in play here. This is what the core game looks like, and it's fantastic. It should also be mentioned that the audio is some of the best to date. Every bullet that ricochets or whizzes by, every crack of a sniper rifle, every grenade that falls to the ground, the treads of an Abrams tank are all frighteningly realistic. The single player of Battlefield 3 is the third Battlefield game to have a fleshed out campaign. If Call of Duty is the Michael Bay of video games, then Battlefield 3 tries to be the Ridley Scott, in that it's a more grounded and realistic attempt to a modern day shooter. You'll be playing the part of multiple soldiers. For a few missions you control Captain Miller, who's a tank commander, Lieutenant Hawkins, a fighter pilot, a man named Dima, who's a Russian spec ops, but about 90% of the campaign is played through the eyes of a Marine sergeant named Blackburn. The campaign begins with Blackburn in an interrogation room with two men from the government attempting to piece together Blackburn's story. He claims to have information regarding a possible terrorist attack in Paris and New York, but to these men his story just sounds like a cover-up. They have reason to believe that Blackburn might be involved somehow in these potential attacks. The missions that you play are actually Blackburn's testimony, trying to give a clear picture of what he has seen in the past in an attempt to give credence to his statements. The campaign will have you visiting many locations such as the deserts of the Middle East, the narrow streets of Paris, or in the skies above Tehran. The missions are very straightforward. You follow a soldier to a certain point, kill the enemies there, move on. The problem is, while, that's fun, it's ultimately a 7-hour game of follow the leader, which unfortunately these days most AAA shooters have become. And after playing Deus Ex earlier this year, I can't tell you how many times I attempted to flake an enemy, only to be met with a barrier of some type. The AI of your comrades is also pretty weak. There are times when they do take cover correctly and fire at the enemies, but then there are some times they'll just run out in the middle of the battlefield and get killed. Another thing I don't like that Battlefield 3 does is respawning enemies. To stop the respawning, you have to hit some sort of a tripwire in the game. For example, there's an RPG in the second story of a building. You need to go kill him. Before you kill him, the enemy is respawning constantly. But after you kill the RPG, they instantly stop spawning. You hit that tripwire of killing that RPG, and the enemies stop appearing. I don't like that, but that's how the game is set up. But in the end, though, the Battlefield 3 campaign has some high points, but it's a generic military shooter about stolen nukes. Ironically enough, when I think about it, this campaign is what I really wanted from Modern Warfare 2, but let's be honest, no one bought this game because of its story. The multiplayer is without a doubt the star of this show. It's addicting, chaotic at times, and is guaranteed to last you for months upon months to come. There's more game types than any other Battlefield game, including Conquest Large, which can have up to 64 people, or just Conquest, which with a maximum of 32, Rush Large, or Rush, Squad Deathmatch, and others. One thing I've seen a lot of Battlefield 3 reviewers complaining about is the graphic glitches and bugs during matches. While I don't deny these exist, and some of them are kind of annoying, there are some reviewers that I saw, and I'm not going to name names, but some of the reviewers were attempting to play this game on its highest possible settings on a subpar gaming rig. Listen, if you want the best possible looking game, you're going to need some expensive parts. So if you don't have the best, don't put it on the best settings. As elementary as that sounds, I guess it needed to be stated. But I won't lie. If you are waiting to build a new rig or upgrade your current one, Battlefield 3 is the game to do it for. If you can max out the settings, you will seriously be blown away. Everything from sand particles and dust to sparks will make your eyes bleed with joy. Thankfully, you can get the Battlefield experience by simply playing the game on high settings and not ultra. The big difference between high and ultra is anti-aliasing and some subtle particle effects. So if money's an issue, I recommend going with the GTX 460, which at the moment is going between $170 and $180 on Newegg. It'll run Battlefield 3 on high settings with no problems. What's probably the most addicting aspect of the multiplayer is the experience system. And as I stated in my DICE retrospective, we've seen the experience bar in the Battlefield games since Battlefield 2 back in 2005. But this game has so many unlocks, it's insane. Almost every single gun has 5 or more unlocks, such as scopes, or a larger magazine, or a grip that'll steady your aim. And there are also over 20 guns total. But you'll also get unlocks for land, sea, and air vehicles as well. And on top of all of this, you can get ribbons for doing certain things, such as by repairing a vehicle for 7 seconds. And there are dog tags which you can collect. There are over 400 dog tags that you can get. Some of them you can earn in-game, and some of them are pre-order bonuses, but damn if that doesn't give you something to work for. There are a few of the dog tags which are as simple as earning a specific rank. Others are a little bit more difficult, such as earning a service star on your weapon. And you get a service star whenever you kill 100 people with one type of gun. So believe me, if you're the obsessive collector type, Battlefield 3 might just kill you. Because of the Frostbite 2 engine, the destruction engine from Battlefield 2 is here and it's really jacked up on steroids. Pretty much everything can be destroyed. Concrete barriers, sandbags, fences, sides of large buildings, parked cars, the list goes on. And this makes for some of the most terrifying moments I've ever had in an FPS. Because once you realize that everything can be destroyed, you are never really safe. And whenever you don't hear anything and it's really quiet, that's when it's the scariest.
Proceed with caution. Objective taken.
The character movement is extremely fluid, and when shot, the ragdoll effects are very good. DICE is actually using the EA Sports ragdoll engine here, so if you've played FIFA, you know what to expect. I must admit though, while good, the character models don't come close to what Rage gave us earlier this month. I think Rage really spoiled me on that aspect. As great as the multiplayer sounds, there is one major flaw. Battlelog. Battlelog is the web browser that you use to navigate servers. That's right. Before, if you played an FPS, you started up the game, selected multiplayer, and then chose your server. Now when you start up Battlefield 3, you don't start up the game, it opens a website and you choose what you want to play, single player, multiplayer. I mean, it's not broken, but it's a pain to use. Another problem with this is if you want to change servers, you have to quit the game entirely, select a new server, and then restart the game. It's a seriously unnecessary addition and is without a doubt the worst thing about Battlefield 3. All in all, Battlefield 3 is the best Battlefield game ever made. Aside from the gorgeous visuals and the ear-bleeding audio, the game is just an absolute blast. Hell, the reason why this review is so late is because it was so hard to stop playing the multiplayer long enough for me to write this. The campaign is average, but it's not why you play this game. The multiplayer gives everything you want and much, much more. If you had any doubts whatsoever in this game, you can put them to rest, because DICE has delivered one of the most fun online experiences in the past 5 years.